thanks for coming on and for joining us. Yeah, and I've always enjoyed listening to you and Fourier on WEI.
Yeah, we try to have some fun,
I
man.
like listening to the show. You guys do a good job on there.
Yeah. Pro Fan Sports Podcast. Let's get it. Pro fans, tune into the program. Every single week, get the dope, fam. Sean on the mic, very flat too. Keep you updated, that's what we do. Pro fans, tune into the program. Pro fans, tune into the program. Pro fans, tune into the program. Every single week, get the dope, fam.
Yo, what to do, everybody? It's your boy, John Altidor with Pro Fan Sports Podcast. Back at you with my boys, Vlad, Barry, and today we got former Padres, former Cleveland Indian, Anaheim Angels, and most importantly, Red Sox. And you can hear him on Merloni and Fourier on WEI. It's Lou Merloni, man. How you doing, brother?
Good, guys. How are you, man? Thanks for having me.
Dude, thank you for coming on here.
Cool.
You know, Barry told us you were going to be on. We're like, what the hell? You know, on Pro Fan Sports Podcast? You know? That's sick, man. You know,
Let's do it. Why not?
Take some time and come chop it up with us, man.
Believe it.
Yeah, I was like, what I respond, Barry? What I say? I was like, holy shit.
Holy shit.
What the
right,
hell?
Right. That's what you said. And the text message, as soon as I texted you and Vlad that Lou Merloni was going to be coming on the show today, and John was like, holy shit, like, damn, like, that's crazy. Right. I know he was so excited, and freaking his eyes popped out of his freaking head, and, you know, jaw just dropped down. So, like, yeah, it was, I'm sure he was pretty pumped as well, you know, as me to be able to have you on this podcast. So, you know, we're definitely, you know, grateful and thankful and honored, you know, to have the privilege to have you on here and to get to, you know, interview and then, you know, have some fun and, you know, some sports and, you know, and just chill and have a good time.
Don't even mention it, man. I'm looking forward to hanging with you guys. And I'm not that cool, so it's not that big of a deal. Don't worry about it.
man.
Even though you played for the Red Sox?
Well, you know, it was a long time ago.
Wasn't that long ago?
Yeah, it was long. Well, it was quite a long time.
I mean,
I'm an old man.
You don't look that old, man. You're good.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, it wasn't that long ago because I used to go to the Red Sox games when you played and stuff, and I remember chanting out like the whole crowd with anytime you get a hit, Lou.
Yeah, I think it was a couple years ago, right? It was. So 98 was my rookie year, and somebody was like, "Oh yeah, it's like a 20-year reunion." I'm like, Jesus Christ, 20 freaking years. I'm like, God dang, like that's when, you know, 25 years ago you've been, you know, debuted with the Red Sox. I'm like, man, long ass time ago, but it's all good, still fun.
Yeah, I mean,
time flies, man. Time flies when you're having fun.
And we also forgot to mention your Providence College, you know, Hall of Fame over here. You know,
Irish.
So you know that's awesome stuff, man. But obviously, we're here to talk some Red Sox. You know, we just had our opening day the other day against the Yankees. You know, we lost that series 2-1. You know, but since then, you know, the season just started, so it's early on in the season. How are you feeling about the season so far?
Well, listen, they're a great offensive team. They should be a great offensive team with the guys on this team. So, like, the big concerns, right? Rotation, bullpen going into the season. And I thought the rotation was good enough. I thought the bullpen was actually very good. We might not have confidence in some of the names that kind of came out of that bullpen, but they threw the ball real well. You give these guys a chance. But really, offensively, they lost 2 out of 3, I think, because they didn't swing the bat like they're capable of. So, they got to go out there and pound the baseball, you know, especially against maybe bad pitching. Not the Yankees have it, but that's going to be their calling card. And give it some time for the pitching to kind of develop and figure out who they got.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think a lot's been made about the rotation, right?
Yeah.
What do you think about the rotation that we're going into the year with? You know, I think a lot of people are concerned, and a lot of people were talking about why didn't we bring in more pitching and stuff like that.
Yeah.
What's your where do you stand on that?
I was surprised they didn't trade for another arm, because I know like April's we're seeing right now, starters. Hell, the Yankees won the first 2 games. The starters went like 3 innings, right? I don't even know if anybody got through the 4th. So like that middle relief guy, like that Garrett Whitlock, like that's extremely important in the month of April, right? Short camp. So I just figured. Now at the time it was like Sale was in the rotation right before he went down. But I said, man, if you could get one more arm and be able to take Houck and Waka and throw them in that bullpen. With Whitlock, you got 3 long guys that you're going to need in April to come in the 4th and 5th inning and give you 3 innings. Well, they didn't, and then Sale got hurt. I just figured they were going to get another arm when Sale went down. But, he'll come back hopefully in June if he stays healthy. And then the other kid, Paxton, who they signed last offseason, coming from Tommy John. So he might be back in, end of June, July. He's coming back pretty quick too. So if everybody stays healthy at that point, they'll have a good rotation. It's just that the first 2 months of the year, you're like, man, it looks really, really thin there, and they don't have a lot of long guys in that pen to protect it. So wasn't the issue over the weekend, right? But, it's a long season. So we'll see if a few guys step up, give them the opportunity. Diekman comes out of nowhere and closes the game. I mean, shit, who the hell saw that coming, right? Did anyone feel good about that guy?
Crazy.
And I'll tell you, when they got him, it was like perfect because he's nasty. Nasty fastball slider. It's just that what you saw in spring training and even like opening day, you're like, okay, he's got no clue where the ball's going right now, right? Eventually he'll settle in, and he settled in last night. Looked great.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah, I mean,
gotta have control and command of those pitches. But like you said, the stuff's there that he can throw it and certainly has talent and stuff. If he can be able to to locate consistently and be able to throw strikes and that he'll certainly be dangerous and be a guy that would be very valuable and important in that pen, just as important as Whitlock is, because it seems to me that outside of Whitlock, everybody else is a crapshoot, is a hit or miss, and I really don't know too many guys outside of Whitlock that are dependable, reliable, and guys that you can be able to outscore, and more importantly, can be able to trust and have, faith and confidence that when you put them out there for, an inning or so, that they're going to be able to, get the job done and get guys out and keep this, team in the ball game, and so that they can be able to hit and put runs up on the board once the offense gets to the plate.
Yeah, and like the kid Cutter Crawford, like that, the rookie that came in, he was great, right? He's another long guy, so he can give you 2 or 3 innings, but last year, it was like, who's this Whitlock guy, right? And he was absolutely outstanding. So that shit can happen in the bullpen real quick. Like a guy could be great one year and the next year not figure it out. So, Crawford you like, obviously Diekman threw great. Whitlock you obviously love. And the other kid, Strom, the kid with that long-ass hair, like that kid's got some good stuff too, So he could be extremely valuable. The real question is like Barnes, is he going to be pitching here this week? And is he the guy from the first half or the guy from the second half? Like, for it, that guy always finishes the year bad, right? The month of August is like in his career, it's like an 80 ERA. So, and then September is kind of like back and forth. So we spent all winter long sitting there saying, Barnes sucks, right? Because the way he always ends, but he's always throws the ball well in April, May, June. So if you can get it back and you can get Barnes and Whitlock and Crawford and Strom and Diekman, you can survive out there. Those are pretty good arms.
Right. And another person that I like, another arm that I like is Tanner Houck, if I'm pronouncing his name correctly. He's a pretty good arm as well. I'm not exactly sure what role they're going to have him in. Is he going to be a starter or come out of the pen in middle relief? And then I'm also wondering, Lou, who's going to be their closer and closing out games for this team, because we have no idea who is going to come in the 9th inning to be able to close games and save situations. They don't have a guy that in the bullpen, that can fulfill that role at this moment. So who do you see, being able to come in and be able to step up and be that closer in the 9th for them?
Yeah, I think Diekman made a long. I think he made his case for it last night. This was a guy, like I was saying, struggled. Cora believed in him. he's lights out against the Yankees. He's building all sort of confidence, and now looks at his manager like, man, I love playing for this guy. Like, I haven't been throwing the ball well. He's got so much confidence in me, and I was able to have that outing. So, to me, it's like you ride the hot hand, and I think Diekman will be the guy that gets the ball. I think Barnes will be a guy, that they'll sort of work his way into it, right? 7th inning, big inning, 8th inning, big inning, as long as Diekman keeps throwing the ball the way he has. And then you got Hansel Robles. He's another guy that I forgot about that threw the ball real well for them down the stretch, in the month of September, and gave him some big innings. So he's another guy that I think, kind of is in that equation. When it comes to Houck, you're right. I don't know what he is. I think they want him to be a starter, but he kind of has like 2 pitches, and we've seen it before. The second to third time through the order, they kind of figure him out, and he's tough with lefties. He really doesn't have much to get those guys because he doesn't really have that consistent split-finger fastball, which helps you against lefties. So I don't know what he is yet. I think they'd love for him to be a starter. If not, he could easily kind of be that long guy maybe when Sale gets back, or who knows, they might flip-flop some guys.
I mean, speaking of Sale, right? Like,
yeah.
When do you think he'll be able to make a start? Because, I mean, has he even been playing catch yet? Because, I don't think I've heard anything about him even, throwing the ball around. So when do you expect him to make a start?
First off, it's the craziest injury I've ever heard of, right? Fracture of a rib throwing a baseball. It's like, damn. And a lot of guys throw hard.
He's like 150 pounds.
Yeah, I know, but like there's a lot of players that are real skinny and throw hard, right? They don't crack ribs throwing. But so they put him on the 60-day DL opening day, so he can't even pitch until the 60 days are up. So that'd be like the first week of June. I think he said he's going to start throwing like the last week. Like last week he was going to start playing catch, but I think what the problem was, it's like, okay, what do we do? If we put him on the 60-day DL, that opens up a roster spot. We can add somebody like they did with like guys like Travis Shaw and some other guys that weren't in the 40-man roster. So it's like a paper transaction. And, we're going to put him on the 60-day DL, so therefore we will not rush him back. That's going to be more than enough time for him to come back. He might have been able to come back in that 50 days, 45, 50, but hey, let's give him maybe a couple of starts in the minor leagues to make sure when he does come back, like he's feeling good. So I think it was a little combination of we could use the roster spot. We don't want to rush him, right? We want to make sure we take our time with him. And that extra 10 days, it's about him at the end of the year, not necessarily the last week of May. So hopefully he's back because he's important. You got to get that dude back, man, being who he is, right?
I mean, I love watching him play, especially when he's on, man, but seems like every year it's the same story, just can't stay on the field at all. One guy we got, we got a right-hander in Trevor Story, who's pretty athletic, and now, he's going from shortstop to, second base. How do you see him adapting to second base for this season?
Yeah, he's a real good defensive shortstop, and I've never been around a real good defensive shortstop that couldn't play second. You know what I mean? Like it's just it's the middle of the infield. It's third base is a different animal, right? You feel like a goalie sometimes, but at second he'll be fine. I've seen like the first series against the Yankees. He likes to throw on the run, man. He just everything he gets, he's chucking on the run. It's like you're at second now. You can set your feet and make a good throw, but whatever he's comfortable with. So I think he'll be fine. Defensively, he's fantastic. Offensively, it's just I'm glad he got that hit the other day, the first run out of the way. You don't want to be on a new team with a big contract, in a new league, trying to prove yourself. Right. I remember the first time I went to like San Diego, new league, grew up with the Red Sox, showed up there and was like, I got to show these guys I can play. And I was just a utility guy. Right. So this guy's trying to show that he's worth $140 million. He is an all-star player. So there's a little bit of added pressure you probably put on yourself. So hopefully he swings the bat, hits some power, plays good defense, which he will, runs the bases well, which he does. So he'll be valuable. There's no question. And then the future, we'll see, right? Maybe he probably ends up playing shortstop next year, depending on what happens with Xander.
I know. Speaking of Xander.
Go ahead, Barry.
Yeah, speaking of...
Man, you going to let Vlad talk or what? The man's just chilling.
I was going to say, I know the season just started. What are your expectations for the team this season? Like, how far do you see them going? How many games do you see them winning? I mean, last year they made it to the ALCS, surprisingly to everybody, but I'm not sure if it's the same this year.
Baseball is so weird because, like, once you just sort of get in, especially with Corey, you kind of see the way you say, I don't have enough pitching, I don't have enough this. And then you get to the postseason, he grabs a starting pitcher and he puts him in the bullpen, and obviously he's a closer, and it's like, wow, actually they got a lot of arms, right? So to me, I think the expectation should always be competing for a playoff spot, right, with this team. And I think they're going to be in that same boat. They got a tough division. I expect them to be right around that 90 wins. I think you could see 4 teams from the AL East making the playoffs. You know, they expanded it, right? Last year it was like 5 teams making it, now 6 teams in the AL. And if that rule was in place last year, the Blue Jays would have made it. So they would have had 4 teams from that same division. Division's tough. But I do expect the Red Sox to be in the playoffs. I think everybody should expect them to be in the playoffs. And if they don't, you know, it'll be a disappointment. And I expect them to play meaningful games in September.
Awesome.
No, for sure. I totally, had those same expectations too, especially coming off of last year. There's certainly anything less than a postseason appearance would be extremely disappointing and an absolute bust and pretty significant step back for this team. I wanted to ask about there's a couple big situations in terms of the contracts extension or lack thereof with Xander Bogaerts and Rafael Devers. What are your thoughts on either one of their situations with the uncertainties of their futures with the Red Sox, and which one is more likely to actually stay, or which one is more likely to go, or could they possibly, both be signed, long term with the Red Sox after this season? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think there's a chance they both could be here. It's just that when you look at it, like obviously Trevor Story is a shortstop, and he's a very good defensive shortstop. So they've kind of leveraged Bogey, right? Like, they're going to go after him, make him an offer, but it's almost like if it doesn't work, we've got Trevor Story. So Bogey's an interesting one. I think he's a good shortstop that lacks range. I think he makes every play at him. If he catches it, you're out. It's just that when, it's all about analytics now, and they have these ways of measure him turning ground balls into outs, and he always is in the bottom of the pile as far as when it comes to range factor and getting to ground balls. If he gets to it, you're out. So I'm not so sure, and we'll see. Because all it takes is one team, that there's going to be teams that are going to say, hey, listen, I want a 10-year deal. You're our shortstop for life, right? Because he wants to play short. A guy like Story, who's a good defensive shortstop, good player, there really wasn't a team that wanted him to play shortstop this offseason. So he sort of went back to the teams and said, okay, if I'm not going to play short, let me go back to the teams that want me to play second. And he ended up choosing the Red Sox. So the one scenario I could see where Bogey comes back would be he goes to free agency. He finds out that, and again, all it takes is one team to have him play short, but he could find out that teams are like, they want him to move his position. They want him to go to third base. They want him to go to second. And if that's the case, then he comes back to Boston and says, okay, if I'm going to change positions, I'm going to do it here, right? So that would be the one scenario where they can bring him back. I just don't think Devers is going anywhere. I really don't. He's 25. Xander will be 29, 30, I think, next year. So everybody wants a 10-year deal, right? Everybody wants a retirement plan. And I think the owners are sitting there saying, I don't want to pay you at 38, 39, 40. But with Devers, you give him a 10-year deal, you get him at 35. And the last few years of it, you're like, fine. Like he could DH maybe by then, and I'm still going to get production from him. So I think they're just trying to figure out how much they have to pay Raffy right now, and it's going to cost an awful lot, most likely.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Prices are going up already, man.
You ain't kidding.
It is. That price is going way up by the day. Definitely, yeah. He's going to make some big money. Like, he's going to get himself a Mike Trout deal or a Mookie Betts kind of deal from somewhere, whether it's from the Red Sox or from some other team. Some team's going to throw a boatload, a lot of money in a big bag at him. The
scary thing about him is that, like, the one knock is, like, him defensively. So he's a little different than Xander because he actually has a pretty good first step and good range. It's just that the balls he does catch, he doesn't turn into outs, right? We see a lot of his errors. But so far last weekend, man, he looked fantastic defensively. So if he has a good defensive year to go along with what he does on offense, now you're talking about making some serious dough, because now you're a complete player, right? So now you don't have to sit there and say, am I paying him to play third, or is he going to be a first baseman because he can't play third, and that may be a different price? Or is he going to be a DH eventually? And I don't want to pay $30, $35 million for a DH, right? So whatever position he can play kind of changes how much money he can make. So he wants to stay at third. And this year, he goes out and proves he can play defensively, and he's going to get exactly what he wants.
For sure.
Nah,
Are you concerned about any, the positions in the infield?
No, actually, I think they have a good infield. Like defensively, the left side, like with Xander and Devers, can they both improve, right? Can they, can bring, first step for Xander, can he get to more balls left and right? Can Devers make the routine play? If they do defensively, they're good. Offensivist, they could end up being one of the better infielders in infield game, because I think Dahlbeck, they can make some adjustments. Even if you take what he did last year, 240, maybe a more consistent 240, not like 5 months bad, 1 month great, and hit you 25 bombs. Now you got Story, Bogey, and Devers, and it's sort of like, poof, good luck. Everyone's hitting 25 bombs plus, right? So offensively, they're going to be, I think, the best infield. It's defense. If the left side can shore it up, but I have no concerns there, none at all.
Are you one of those people that believe that the game should, they should make changes in the game to reduce the time of the games?
Yeah, I think they desperately need a pitch clock. To me, it's that's the first start. I think pitches to me dictate the pace of the game, right? Like I remember when I played like Mark Burley, the dude was playing in 2.5 or 2:15. It didn't matter what the hitter was doing. Wakey was always quick too. Derek Lowe was always quick. Pedro, and it's like you don't have to have Pedro stuff to have a quick game. You just take the ball and throw it, right? And now these guys take 40 seconds between pitches, and it's as a hitter, old school, you'd be like, you want to slow the pitcher down. You'd step out if he's moving too fast, working too fast. Now these guys, and there's a reason for that. Like he's in a groove, I want to slow him down, and now they take so much time that the hitters, I think it's an advantage hitter. Defensively, I think it's a mess. Like I don't want to be out there while a guy takes 40 seconds between pitches. I want to be engaged in the game. I think if you do that, the pace of play picks up. And the other stuff I'm fine with. I'm fine with trying all these different things and bigger bases and
What do you think of that communication device between the pitchers and the catchers that they're trying to instill?
Yeah, I'm curious on it. Like I do wonder. Like I know the Yankees did over the weekend, and it seemed like it was okay, right? But the Red Sox don't seem to want to do it. They have trouble hearing. Even in a spring training game, let alone Yankee Stadium. I had this vision of like Vasquez at like a playoff game at home. 2 outs, 2 strikes, and the crowd's standing and going nuts, and he's standing up and he's like, "Hey, keep it down," right? Like Brady or Manning, like I can't hear the pitch. My pitcher can't hear the pitch, so we got to quiet it down. So I also wanted to shake off. Like guy shakes off, like how quick you can do it. So the Yankees look like they worked it fine, right? Is it for everybody? I don't know. So whatever. I'm not against technology. I do worry that the more you introduce it, the more scandals, you could kind of have, like what happened in Houston. But I'm all for like just certain shit. I love the 7-inning doubleheaders. I love the man on second and extra innings. I think if you're sitting at home and you're not watching the Red Sox, and all of a sudden they say they're going to the 10th, you might sit there and be like, boom, I'm going to turn the game on because now's the guy in second. I know the game's going to end. So I'm all for that. So I'm all for whatever kind of changes they want to make, and just sort of see how it goes. That's all.
What's the deal with the right field? Are you okay with Jackie Bradley coming back and being out there, or like should we be trying to figure something else out? I mean, as far as him, at the bat and him not hitting very well.
I think Jackie is a very good fourth outfielder, right? Like I think defensively he's still fantastic. It's just offensively, you kind of know what he is, right? Last year he was awful in Milwaukee. I don't think he's that bad. He's very streaky. So I think he is extremely valuable for you defensively, what he can do. It's just, offensively, and to be honest with you, if they don't score runs, it shouldn't be because Jackie Bradley's in the lineup. You know what I mean? When you start thinking about Dahlbeck hitting 7th and Vasquez hitting 8th, if he hits 9th, like you should still be able to score runs with what you've got in the top of the order, right? So defense to me really matters. He saves runs in the outfield. It's just that because he's a lefty and they're going to platoon him, there's more games for him because you face more right-handed hitters, right? It's almost like I wish he was a Gold Glove defender, right-hander, and he just played against lefties and he was a defensive replacement. But because he's a left-handed hitter, he ends up getting, more at-bats than the guy that he's platooning with. So that's an interesting one to keep an eye on. I think he's a good extra outfielder. It's just a question of, can they find another? If he just struggles offensively, how long they can stick with it?
Yeah, and who's that other guy they're gonna platoon him with? Because I know you said there was another person they want to platoon him with. And I'm thinking, since he's such a great defensive outfielder, don't you usually have your best defensive outfielder in center field than in right field? Because when he played for the Red Sox before he left for Milwaukee, he was in center field. So I thought when they brought him back, they were going to put him back in center field. And with all due respect to Kiki Hernandez, he certainly did a good job, in center field, with the exception, I think, that one error in Game 6 of the ALCS when he misplayed that ball. But besides that, he played pretty well. Do you think they should put him back in center and or keep him at right? What are your thoughts on that?
At Fenway Park, man, it's nice to have two center fielders, right? Like, it's like Mookie, it's the same way in right field. So it's a nice luxury to have. And it is interesting. The answer I got about that was that they really think Kike is just as good, if not better, in center. Now, I don't know if I agree with that.
Really?
You know what I mean? But like, he was like,
So
they have some metrics about, like, he's got like the best jump in the game, right? He gets a great jump on the ball. He does have a good, strong arm. It's accurate. So, and I think the idea of, kind of moving Kike from center field to right field, like, depending on the type of field you play at, I don't know if they want to keep moving him around. So I do. It's funny because at Fenway Park, Jackie Bradley, like, these metrics and analytics, they never really favor him much. And the reason is because of, like, that left center wall. Like, there's balls to left center that some computer dude is saying he should have caught it. Meanwhile, it's off the wall, right? Like, he's running out of room. So him in right field to patrol that right field, I think you're gonna benefit from. And I think the two of them together is just, with Verdugo in left, it's a great defensive outfield when they are out there. Christian Arroyo is probably the other guy. And I think he's an infielder. He's a very good defensive second baseman, but he's been playing some right field, against lefties. Alex said that JD will play a little bit of left field against lefties as well. So that is a position I think they were looking for. Yeah, I'm not a fan of that either, but that's a position they were looking for. I think a right-handed bat, another outfielder to platoon with Jackie. They just apparently couldn't come up with one in the offseason.
Absolutely, man. I think, the season just started right now. We're at the bottom of the fifth, and game's 1-1 right now against Detroit.
Long hair's in now, Strom.
Hey, long hair. We got a long season to go, and we'll have to keep an eye out on the Red Sox, see how they're doing for the season, and hopefully, they give us that season we're looking for and gain a lot of success. I know you're a guy that talks a lot about a lot of the sports in the city, in New England. We got a team going into the postseason right now. Well, two teams. We got the Bruins and the Celtics. I think right now the Celtics are the hottest team right now. So I wanted to ask you how you feeling about the Celtics and what they've been able to do for this season.
I think the turnaround has been like nothing. It's like amazing, right? I mean, for like a year and a half, we sat here and we're like, man, I don't know if these guys are ever going to figure it out. Like what everybody wanted them to look like. And I don't think Ime Udoka gets enough credit for like what he did, how he's changed it, how he's kind of got these guys to understand what they need to do to play a certain way. So I think he's been fantastic. I buy in on the Celtics team. I think they have a chance, to go to the NBA Finals. I do worry about Rob Williams' injury. When's he back? What's he going to be like when he comes back? If he was healthy, I think they should be in Eastern Conference Finals with a good chance to go to the finals. The only thing is, listen, I just didn't like the path here they have, right? I didn't want to play the Nets. I know who they are. I don't think the Nets can win the East because I think they got to go through too many teams, but they can beat your ass in the first round. I worry about Kevin Durant. I worry about Kyrie Irving. I worry about a close game in the fourth quarter and those guys just take it over. I think the Celtics can still beat them, but I would have rather played anybody else in the first round other than the Nets.
Well, we have two options. Well, it's two teams that we could play, right? The Cavaliers or the Nets. So the Nets have to come out of that playing tournament anyways. But I don't know. I'm not afraid of the Nets like that. I think we can beat them. I think we have a pretty good team. I think in a close game, for sure, those guys can definitely take over. I mean, those guys are world-class players. I mean, somebody like Kevin Durant for sure. But I don't know. I think we have a pretty good team, and I'm pretty confident in those guys. I just feel as though we've been playing so unbelievably that I don't know. I just feel as a Celtics fan, I should be behind the team, and it's also gonna be such an exciting series. Like I don't know. I'm not shying away from it.
Well, I tell you that as far as the excitement of a series goes, absolutely. I think, but I just think if they had, they played the Bulls, I think they walked through
Yeah.
them and even the Raptors. I don't know what's going on with vaccination stuff, but even if Jalen wasn't able to play, I think they take care of them too, right? Like I just look at, I would have liked to have waited if you were like the 4 seed, right, and you end up playing Toronto, and then it's Miami. I mean, Miami's a good team too, but now you get Milwaukee, you got the Nets, then it's Milwaukee, right? And again, the Nets have to win that first game, but the Nets to Milwaukee is like that's the toughest first, second round matchup of any team's got to go through, right, in the playoffs, and then it's to get to the Heat. So I would have liked to have had a nice little 4-game sweep with the Bulls and just sort of been like, okay, let's move on. Who do we have next? And I know home court is important. I just I don't know. The Nets kind of make me nervous a little bit.
Yeah.
I think the Celtics can beat them though.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, no, I hear what you guys are saying. I respect the Nets, respect, the talent and the greatness that they have, but I don't fear them. I'm not scared of them, and I don't think the Celtics should be fearful or be scared and afraid to play any team, because with the way that they're playing right now, teams should be scared to play the Celtics instead of the other way around, Celtics being scared of playing other teams. Like when the Celtics play their, brand of basketball and their great elite defense they have, and being able to play selfless offensively and move the ball and share it, and with that good ball movement they've been able to have pretty much since the turnaround started. They're as tough of a team to beat and can play with any team in the league, and we know what kind of a team the Nets are. Like, yeah, they're, have 2 of the most prolific and dynamic scorers in the game, but they, with the Celtics, they can at least do enough to not let those guys go crazy and get, too busy, and then they should be able to score on them. Like, there's no one that can guard Jason Tatum on that team. Like, Tatum has a field day and absolutely cooks those guys every time he plays them. Like, he's a Nets killer. Like, he owns the Brooklyn Nets. So, like, they just like we fear Kevin Durant, they should be fearing Jason Tatum. So I just feel like the Celtics should be able to win this series. Like, I get it'll be a tough series. I'm not saying it'll be easy, and and there'll be a 4 or 5 game series. I'm expecting at least 6 games out of this series to come. But I just I feel pretty good about this team and where they're at, and I just feel like they shouldn't be shying away from anyone, and they should be confident to be able to play anybody in that first round and beat anybody who they play. Like, even without Rob Williams, like, they have to win in the first round at least and be able to get to that second round and be competitive as well until Rob can get back. Like, they should still be able to hold down the fort and still play good basketball and win games in the playoffs even without Rob Williams. So I'm not really too concerned about this Nets series, even as dangerous as those guys and Kyrie and KD can be in the playoffs. But the rest of the team, I don't think is, scares me too much. It's all that good, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I just saw some like Vegas odds, and it had odds to win the championship. In the East, it was actually they had the Bucks, the Nets, and then the Celtics, which I don't agree with, at all. And I agree with you. They shouldn't fear them. I think the Celtics are fantastic, and Tatum is fantastic, and Jaylen Brown and everything. The way Smart's been playing. The way I look at it is just like the stars in the Eastern Conference, and if you drop that game the other night, and you go to 4. You've got between Giannis and Middleton and Durant and Kyrie and Embiid and Harden, those 6 players, they're not even in your bracket until you get to the Eastern Conference Finals. So it's like 4 of those really good players are done by the time you even get to it, right? So it's like I just like eliminate the stars.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And just sort of move on. But the Celtics still, obviously, they should win that series, and then we'll sort of see where Rob Williams is at when in Milwaukee, because I think Milwaukee is probably, I think it's Celtics in Milwaukee. you know. But the Celtics just have both of them have a tough path. We'll see. Well, not the Milwaukee in the first round. They should walk right through the Bulls.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I think Milwaukee and Philadelphia kind of like played us there, right? You know, we played Milwaukee and they played to win, and then they just like completely let go of the other two games, just, you know, playing the positions and stuff like that. But I feel like, you know, doing stuff like that can come back and bite you in the ass, right?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
If you're playing for position, you know, opposed to playing to win the game, and I feel like the Celtics were just like, dude, we're gonna play how we're gonna play, and that's what it's gonna be. Because even though we sat Jason Tatum and the other guys a couple of games, you know, the team was still competitive, and I feel like we have that identity, and we have a culture here right now that it's like, man, we're not gonna lay down for anybody.
And that was like the kind of a little confusing how the week ended, you know, because it was like you got Milwaukee, and it's like, okay, listen, if you want the 2 seed, you know, play Tatum and Horford against these guys. And I know it was back to back, but it was like, you know what I mean? Go get those guys, because you knew Memphis was going to lay down. Memphis had nothing to play for. They already had the number 2 seed, so you knew that last game they weren't going to do anything. So if you really wanted to go for the 2 seed, you just sort of go up there to Milwaukee and try to smack them around, take that 2 seed, and then you come back and you win another game and Memphis lays down. And so like you would have went out and wrapped it up. Now, I don't know, maybe Tatum's knee was bothering him. Maybe Al was, you know, bothering him as well. It was back to back. But that when I saw that lineup, or I saw everybody that was out against the Bucks, I said, okay, this is, you know, they would rather be the 3 seed. You know, they'd rather be the 4 seed, you know, because that was a big game. You win that game, you win the tiebreaker against the Bucks, and you had the tiebreaker against Philly. You almost would have wrapped up that number 2 seed, you know, if you just won that game. And they sat those guys. So I thought that's where they were going. And then they come out on Sunday, play everybody, and they beat Memphis, and here we are.
Yeah.
I was a little bit confused.
How far are you expecting the Celtics to go?
I always worry about the Bucks. You know, I think that they have a chance to win, you know, to beat the Bucks. I think if they get by the Bucks, they can win the Eastern Conference. So that's kind of the way I just look at that Bucks series, as like whoever wins that series. If, you know, get by the Nets, they get by the Bulls. Whoever wins that series is winning the Eastern Conference. So I think a lot depends on Rob Williams. Like I just think he's that big of a factor. Like hopefully, you know, he's back and he gets his feet wet a little bit in his first round, right? So then you can get some real minutes from him in that second round. But I think that second round decides who wins the East.
I'd agree with that.
I'd agree with that.
Yeah,
I'd agree with that for sure, man.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's what it comes down to for the, you know, pretty much the.
And the Heat are good, right?
But finals in the East. I think, with all due respect to Miami, and I have a lot of respect for Miami and for Eric Spoelstra and you know, for all those guys that are, you know, they're like the Jimmy Butlers and all those veterans that they have, Bam Adebayo, Kyle Lowry, you know, the list goes on. But I just feel like, like it's, you know, whoever comes out of that series between the Bucks and the Celtics is going to have, you know, an advantage to, you know, against them to be able to, you know, win that series and get by the, you know, and get to the finals. Wanted to ask you, Lou, so what was your favorite moment in playing for the Red Sox when back in your playing days?
Well, you know, my first at bat at Fenway Park, I hit a home run. So that was like my first, you know, that was like the greatest moment, right? Like I actually opened up on the road, got my first hit in Minnesota, then I came back and my first at bat, hit a home run. So that's tough to beat. But like 99, we were in the division series against the Indians, and Nomar actually got hurt, I think, game 2. So game 3, I started. We were down 0-2 at Fenway Park, and I played shortstop that game. We ended up winning that game, ended up winning the series 3-2. So that was another moment. Got a couple of hits in that game, so it was like a playoff atmosphere. That was sick, you know. Unfortunately, my career ended in Boston with Aaron Boone hitting a home run. So that was the low point of my time in Boston.
Yeah.
But like every night was awesome, you know, because I grew up here, family, friends. I mean, it was fantastic looking back. And now it's weird because you watch the game now, or I go to a game live with my kid, and it's just, you see it as a fan, like as a player, I didn't see those people. the fans, you played the game. But now as a fan, you sit there and you're like, man, I was out there in the box. Everyone was watching me while I was hitting. It's a different perspective, kind of blows you away.
For sure. Absolutely. It's a pretty mind-blowing experience for sure.
Yeah.
It's crazy how you're seeing it from the other perspective and the other side, now being a fan and stuff. But I can only imagine how great it must have been playing in Fenway Park, playing in front of sellout crowds every night, especially right in that 03 season. That was a special and magical season.
Yeah.
Obviously, it sucks how it ended, but I mean, that team was certainly special and was a great team that did a lot of great things and that season, and really kind of, I feel like, even though they didn't win it, like you knew they were started heading in the right direction and they were getting a lot closer. Like they finally built some momentum and finally you started to like get back to like their winning ways and develop some sort of like a winning culture. Like you knew sooner or later they were gonna get over the hump and and win a World Series, even though they didn't obviously win it that year. But, I think that 03 kind of started the run, for the Red Sox where, we started considering them as a winning team instead of a losing team that always chokes all the time and, and wets the bed.
Yeah, no, I think that team started, you could see it, right? Even like in 03, you could see that. I mean, obviously Big Papi was on the scene. It was like, geez, now you got Big Papi with Manny, and we always kind of was like, okay, we need, as good as D-Lo and Wakey were, it was like, okay, somebody with Pedro, all these years, somebody with him. And then obviously Schilling and Falk edition, I think, was fantastic. But you could see it in 03 that it was just a matter of time that group was going to do something. And it just took, obviously next year it was great. Fantastic.
How was it playing with all those players on like the 03 team? Those were some pretty fun, I'm sure, personalities and fun guys to play around. So how was that atmosphere of being around those guys in the clubhouse like?
It was awesome. It was such a good team. I mean, like what Kevin Millar brought to that team, and Big Papi, and obviously the guys, the holdovers, right? Like Manny and Omar and Tech and Pedro. But it was like, that's one of the things I look back at, like in playing, like the guys I played with, the guys I played against. Man, I played with Ricky Henderson, right? Like, I mean, I played my rookie year with Eck. I'm sitting there talking to Eck about like the '78 World, the playing game against the Yankees. Dude, I'm on his team. I'm talking about something when I was like 6, 7 years old. So playing with all these guys, man, it was just like looking back, especially that team. That's the stuff I kind of remember. Like got to play against certain players, got to play with certain players. Like that's the cool thing.
Yeah, I mean, playing any sport professionally, it's got to be amazing, and you got to play at the top of the game and at the highest of levels. So congratulations to you. But now you're part of the media. What was that transition like? And you get a lot of hot takes sometimes here and there. What are the players like? After you make a hot take, and what's that interaction like?
It was real hard when I started because it was just have no filter. If you don't like something, say it. And at that time, there were still guys in there that I knew, you know what I mean? Or guys I played with or guys I played against. And so that was difficult, because it was like, I'm saying some things like this guy ain't right now. And the players, you get in the locker room and they don't like hearing it. So I kind of liked it when all my friends sort of left the team. Like they just sort of, everybody that I knew, and there's like a new generation of players. And it was like, I always still try to be fair about it, but there's times when players, I think, look in the mirror and they know what they're doing wrong. I don't think they want to hear somebody talking about it on the radio though, which I understand. I didn't like it either. So, but it's the path you choose. That's what your job is. I mean, you can't, I can't start off every sentence with, listen, baseball is hard. Hitting is hard. Pitching is hard. Catching the ball is hard. But with that said, I can't do that every single time, and of course all these games are hard. Of course all these guys are extremely talented. They wouldn't be at that level no matter what sport it is. But now that you're at that level, there are expectations of how you play. And what you should be doing. So that's kind of where those takes come in that guys maybe sometimes didn't really want to hear. But like I said, it's your job, right? You got to do it. If you sort of wishy-washy, you're not going to be in the media. So you got to have a strong opinion one way or the other.
Yeah. I mean, some of you guys catch a lot of heat, man, whether it's part of the media or reporting, like Adam Schefter the other day with his tweet about, Dwayne Haskins, rest in peace. What was your take on that? Do you think that was fair? People came at him like that?
Yeah, listen, I think it's fair that people come at him. I mean, he messed up. He messed up royally. I mean, when you report something like that, man, you got to realize that, like, friends, family are extremely emotional. They lost a loved one. Mm-hmm. And I think you just report that he passed away. And if you want to, the agent tells you how it happened, so be it. But nobody wants to hear about how he struggled to make it in the NFL the day he passes away. There's timing, right? So he screwed up. So he deserves everything he gets. Now, I don't think ESPN needs to fire him. I think if we get too much into this, like, somebody said something stupid, let's get rid of him and fire him and everything else.
Cancel culture.
Yeah, like I don't agree with that because, listen, for 4 hours a day, 20 hours a week, like, I'm out there saying some stupid shit. You know what I mean? And I can only hope that I don't say something so dumb that, that I'm done, right? And it could happen in 10-second clip, right? That's all it takes. So, and he screwed up. So he needs to wear it. He needs to take it. And I don't want him fired. I don't know if they'll suspend him. I have no idea, but he should have been more sensitive to it because, again, that's how a lot of people found out. You know what I mean? By his tweet.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine being close to him, Haskins, and having some guy tell me the day he died, how he died, and tell me that he struggled in the NFL. That's not for that day.
Yeah, absolutely.
Facts.
I agree with that. Louis, we had you for a while now, and thank you for coming on the show. But Barry, we're gonna ask the last question there. She raising your hand.
Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Appreciate that. Yeah, just wanted to get one more question in real quick. So just wanted to ask you, Lou, what's your favorite moment on the radio with Christian Boyer since you guys have been doing the show together? Is there one particular moment either on the air or behind the scenes that kind of, stands out and comes to mind that is, the most memorable?
We always have a lot of fun, and on the air there's always like moments. It's great. At the end of the year we try to play like the funny moments, and it's always like, oh man, I forgot about that. The only thing that kind of sticks in my mind recently is like we did this like last 2 years we've done this NFL bet, right? Wild card, we pick teams, Super Bowl, whoever loses the bet. Well, 2 years ago I lost and I had to shave my head. Like one guard, just shaved it's gone, right? No, I'm just like an idiot, right? For about 2 months wearing a baseball hat every day. This year he lost and he had to wear like a Borat mankini and do a polar plunge out there in Southie. So watching that man in that thing, jump in that water, who barely got out because his body almost froze. We did this in February, right? Like that was worth it, just to see how much pain he was in. But he's a good dude. Glad I worked with him, and we had a lot of fun times.
Awesome.
He shaved my head, so
oh wow, oh my god, I can't believe he really
how to get him back.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I can't believe he really did that and like agreed to that bet.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's crazy.
Loser had to do it. I'm glad I won that one. I didn't want to do that. I'm glad I won
Thank
that.
God, right.
You ain't kidding. Yeah, I hear you.
But if you had lost, would you have had to do the same thing?
Oh,
or
yeah.
Would you have to do something?
Oh, no, I was almost
That's
in
a
that
bet.
thing. I was almost in that thing, but I picked more winners than he did, so that worked out well.
Yeah, right. I'm glad it did work out for you. Can only imagine what that would have felt like for you to do that in the middle of February, in the middle of the winter. That wouldn't have been a lot of fun and would have been brutal. Yeah.
The worst part is like pictures, right, online. That shit never goes away.
No.
You know what I mean? Video never goes away.
Nope.
So that was a tough loss for him. I enjoyed it.
Tough L, no doubt. No, that's awesome though. Thanks for sharing that with us.
You got it.
And that's pretty funny and pretty cool. You guys do that and have a lot of fun on the show. So, no, good for you guys. That's what's up.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, we have a good time. Yo, Vlad, man, they gotta let you talk more. Seriously, dude. You know what I mean?
We don't have Vlad on mute here. Vlad can say whatever he
They
wants
can
to say.
chime in anytime.
I'm very good at just watching when people are talking and just having one person talking at a time. So
good. You guys are fun, man. Thanks for having me. It's awesome.
Oh, thank you, man. You know, it's an absolute pleasure to have you on. You could have been doing anything, but you gave us some time, and we really appreciate that, man. And we're gonna keep watching and keep listening to your takes and stuff like that, man. But stay out of trouble, though. You know,
I'll try to stay out of trouble.
We don't want to see the woke culture, come for you and stuff. So.
No, feel free to call in, man. Love to talk to you guys again.
All right,
we'll do this again too sometimes. Let me know.
Awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, cool. Maybe like playoff time, right? Like maybe in September when things are heating up.
There you go.
Right.
It'd be nice. Cool.
There you go.
That's true.
Well, have a good night, Lou.
All right, boys. Thank you, man.
You so much.
Nice to meet you guys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
all right.
absolutely.
Take it easy.
No problem. Anytime.
Take it easy.
You too. Have a good night.
That was
awesome.
Lou Merloni, man. You know, damn. It's crazy. These guys come on here and, just chop it up with us here on Pro Fan Sports Podcast, man. So shout out to Lou for coming on. I mean, I don't really gotta tell you guys about Lou. He's a Boston legend. He's a legend around here on the airways. So he's gonna keep doing this thing, and you guys don't need me to tell you anything about him. But if you're still watching, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you're following Lou. Make sure you're following us on all social media platforms at ProFanSports on everything except for Instagram, and that's at ProFans_sports. We're dropping every week like we've been doing, for the past 2 years, So until next show, man, we'll catch y'all. Thanks for watching.
Peace out, everyone. Have a good week. See y'all next week. 1 to 108.
108, that's crazy.